thank the chairpersons for introducing me. Thank you so much. So today I will be talking about the evaluation and the management of stones in a case-based manner. The first case that we will talk about is usually how to work up a patient. When the first time the patient comes to you, what are the likely reports that you would like to do? So if a 23-year-old man came with history of severe colicky pain and vomiting, not associated with any urinary complaints, the pain subsided with medications. On evaluation, he was found to have a 5 millimeter renal calculus. In history, he has no significant past history, no family history, nothing to suggest stones. So what would you do? The thing we would like to evaluate in history whether the flank pain, yeah, flank pain and vomiting, they are the most common symptoms of presentation. The dietary habits of the patient, the hydration status, how much is the fluid intake they are taking, whether the family history is significant, any history of bowel diseases, gout, and any metabolic problems like diabetes or gouty diathesis. In patients, you will get a basic blood report done, like your creatinine, CBC, urine, RF, urine routine. These basic reports, we should also do some metabolic tests such as calcium, parathormone, and uric acid levels. Urine analysis will tell us about the pH of urine. There are certain stones which are more likely to be in alkaline pH and versus other stones which are more likely to be in acidic pH of urine. Acidic pH will be in uric acid stones and gouty diathesis and diabetes.
I think there's some net problem.
And alkaline, can you see me? Hello?
Yeah. Go on.
And alkaline stones would be calcium phosphate. Next, we would like to get an X-ray done. An X-ray will show the calculi. 90% of the stones are radio opaque. However, the sensitivity and specificity alone of an X-ray is not good enough. Now, sonography will tell us about the upper tracts, whether there is any dilatation about the stone size. It is the modality of choice in patients who are pregnant. The sonography will always overestimate stone size. On non-contrast CT will further help in assessing the stone size, shape, number, and location. It is more sensitive and specific for urinary calculi. It is of utility in patients with ureteric calculi because sonography will sometimes miss that. An IVP or a CT urography can be done. It provides provides details about the functional evaluation. So it tells us about the kidneys, whether they are working, the opposite kidney, whether it is working, the hydronephrosis. It also tells us about the best modality of intervention if we are planning. If intervention in the form of PCNL, then you can plan your punctures according to your CT urography. The contrast is nephrotoxic, and hence you should not do a CT urography or contrast study when the creatinine is more than 1.5. Here we can see the the X-ray IVP. Now, when this patient has presented with pain, so we want to relieve his pain. The best treatment for pain relief is NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. However, when we give these medicines, we must ensure that the creatinine is not high. Now, another advice when patients present with pain is that you don't tell them to drink a lot of water. If they drink a lot of water, there is more urine production, which will further aggravate hydronephrosis and increase pain and vomiting sometimes. So, a second case, if the patient has is a recurrent stone former, strong family history, intestinal diseases, pathological skeletal fractures, osteoporosis, gout, solitary kidney in children. So these are conditions where we need to further evaluate why this patient is forming stones. And these patients will require a detailed metabolic evaluation to rule out the cause of stones. Here we can see that another case, there is a small 5 millimeter calculus. It is asymptomatic. The patient has just come with a report which is showing a stone, whether we should treat them or not. So usually for small stones which are asymptomatic, we may not need, they do not need treatment. So the treatment is done if the patient is symptomatic, they have pain and discomfort, if they are children, if they have a solitary kidney, in certain professions like pilots, merchant navy, where they need to be stone free, and in women considering pregnancy. So for these patients, you will advise conservative management. Conservative management involves fluid intake, which should be in the proportion that your urine output should be around 2.5 liters. What you drink is not important. It is how much you drink. So pani, nimbu pani, anything, water, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, anything they want to drink is okay, as long as the volume they're drinking is around 3 to 3.5 liters. The dietary restriction, the dietary recommendation would be that they should decrease salt intake. The only advice for every patient with stones is to decrease their salt intake. A moderate amount of protein restriction can be enforced, but our Indian diet is anyways not very high in protein. If another patient presents with a larger stone, a 10 millimeter renal calculus. So in patients who are presenting with calculi in the kidney, whether it is 10 to 20 or more than that, there are largely three options for treating them: ESWL, RIRS, and PCNL. So in ESWL, basically it's an extracorporeal shockwave generator where the shockwaves are generated outside the body and focused onto the stone inside the kidney. Due to this shockwave focusing onto the stones will crumble, and over time, the patient will pass these stones in urine. Sometimes it may be important to place a stent for these patients if they are having any obstruction. So the contraindications for ESWL are pregnancy, bleeding, diathesis, uncontrolled UTIs, malformations, even very morbid obesity sometimes may be difficult for us to target the stone within the kidney. So, but ESWL, even though it looks simple, it's on outpatient basis, it is not without its own set of complications. Sometimes we may have hematuria, bleeding, tubular necrosis, which is usually all these things recover over a span of 2 weeks. And that is why we give a period of 2 weeks gap between successive sittings of shockwaves. The other modality for treatment would be RIRS. This is usually reserved for stones which are less than 15 to 20 millimeters in size. The advantages in patients with morbid obesity and coagulopathy. Due to the technical improvements in the scopes and the flexibility that they offer, most of the stones within the kidney can be targeted with this. Sometimes there may be difficulty in lower pole calculi, but other than that, the success is reasonably good. The laser that we use for this is usually holmium YAG, and now we can use a TFL laser is also available. For stones that are larger, a PCNL would be a preferred option. Now we can, in PCNL, a puncture is made into the kidney. Under vision, you will see the stone, you'll target the stone, you will break it either with laser or lithotripsy and achieve clearance. The success rate of PCNL and RIRS both are in the range of 90 to 95%, so they are reasonably good. The main problem associated with PCNL is because you are making a puncture going through the kidney, it is associated with a higher chance of bleeding. This has been decreased to some extent by, again, miniaturization, and mini PCNL is now the preferred modality for upper tract puncture stones. So the complications of PCNL are fever, transfusion requirement in up to 7% of the patients, thoracic complications, sepsis, organ injury, and embolization. Contraindications are any contraindication for GA, coagulopathy, untreated UTIs, pregnancy, and any malignancy within the kidney. So as the stone size will increase, we will go from ESWL towards PCNL. For stones which are 10 to 20 millimeters, ESWL is still the preferred option, followed by RIRS and PCNL. In a stone which is very, very large, the treatment of choice would be PCNL because ESWL and RIRS become extremely challenging and would be reserved only for difficult cases in that scenario. So I have only thought I will present about the kidney stones today, sir. Thank you so much.